Remember the dial-up tone, the brick-sized mobile phones, or the first time you ever surfed the web? The 1990s wasn't just another decade. It was the decade that built the modern world. In the next few minutes, we're rediving deep into the 10 revolutionary technologies that laid the foundation for everything we take for granted today. From the birth of the World Wide Web and the dawn of mobile communication to the rise of 3D gaming and the secrets unlocked by biotech. We'll explore how these innovations didn't just change our lives, they created the future. So stick around to see how the 90s connected us all. Let's start with the big one, the internet and the World Wide Web. While its roots go back to the 60s, the 90s is when the internet truly became ours. In 1991, Tim Berners-Lee gifted us the World Wide Web, and suddenly the digital world was no longer just for scientists. With browsers like Mosaic and Netscape Navigator, we could click and explore. This wasn't just a technical leap. It was a cultural revolution. It democratized information, connecting anyone with a modem and a curious mind to a global network. Startups we know and love today, like Amazon and eBay, were born from this digital boom. By the end of the decade, the internet went from a novelty to a necessity, wiring the world for the 21st century. Next, let's talk about cutting the cord with mobile phones. Remember those bulky car phones? The 90s shrank them down, put them in our pockets, and made them accessible to everyone. The arrival of 2G networks was a game changer. It didn't just give us clearer calls, it introduced us to the magic of text messaging, or SMS. Companies like Nokia and Motorola became household names, battling it out to give us better battery life and sleeker designs. Owning a mobile phone became a status symbol, a tool of independence, especially for young people. The 90s didn't invent the phone, but it made it mobile and personal, setting the stage for the smartphone revolution that was just around the corner. Now, let's bring it home with the personal computer. The PC had been around, but the 90s was when it moved from the office cubicle to the family room. This was thanks to major leaps in power and usability. Intel's Pentium processor gave it the horsepower for multimedia, and Microsoft's Windows 95 made it incredibly user-friendly. That iconic startup sound, the start menu, plug and play, it all made computing accessible to millions. And let's not forget Apple, which shook up the industry with the colorful All-in-One iMac in 1998, proving that computers could be stylish. The PC was no longer an intimidating machine. It became a personal portal to work, play, and creativity. Of course, what's a PC without games? The 1990s was the golden age of gaming consoles. This decade gave us legendary systems like the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sony PlayStation, and the Nintendo 64. We went from simple 2D sprites to immersive 3D worlds. The shift to CD-based games on the PlayStation was huge. It meant bigger games, full-motion video cutscenes, and orchestral soundtracks. Storytelling in games reached new heights with titles like Final Fantasy VII and The Legend of Zelda. Ocarina of Time. Gaming grew from a niche hobby into a blockbuster entertainment industry, blending technology and art in ways no one had ever seen before. Parallel to this digital explosion was the revolution in digital media and portable storage. The 90s was the decade we said goodbye to analog. Cassette tapes were replaced by the crisp, clear sound of the compact disc. Soon after, CD-ROMs put entire encyclopedias and complex video games onto our computers. Then came the DVD, which completely transformed our movie-watching experience with its superior quality over VHS tapes. And how did we move all this data around? We started with floppy disks, but soon we had zip drives for larger files, and crucially, the very first USB standard was introduced in 1996. The 90s built the bridge from physical media to the digital world we live in now. While we were busy going digital, another quiet revolution was happening in biology. The 1990s was a pivotal decade for biotechnology and genetic engineering. It kicked off with the launch of the Human Genome Project, an ambitious global effort to map our entire DNA. This massive undertaking fused biology with powerful computing, creating a new field of data science. We saw advances in genetically modified crops, which sparked both innovation and debate, and the first attempts at gene therapy. Biotech startups began popping up, promising to change medicine forever. The 90s laid the genetic groundwork for many of the medical breakthroughs we see today. But what good is all this technology if you can't talk about it? The 90s also gave us new digital communication tools. This was the birth of early social networking. Email, which had been an academic tool, became the standard for professional and personal communication with services like Hotmail. Instant messaging exploded with platforms like ICQ and AOL Instant Messenger. Suddenly, you could have real-time conversations with friends across the globe. Online forums and chat rooms became virtual community centers, creating a networked society where people formed friendships and shared ideas based on common interests, not just geography. This was our first taste of a digital identity. The 90s also helped us find our way in the physical world with GPS and satellite navigation. Originally a military technology, GPS was opened up for civilian use, and by 1993, a full constellation of satellites offered global coverage. This transformed industries like aviation and shipping, but it also started appearing in consumer devices. Digital navigation was born. This innovation quietly laid the groundwork for the location-based services we rely on daily, from Google Maps and Uber to food delivery apps. The ability to know exactly where you are on the planet at any time started right here. And how did we capture the memories of this incredible decade? With digital photography. Before the 90s, photos meant film, chemicals, and waiting. Digital cameras changed everything by using electronic sensors and memory cards. Early models were clunky and low resolution, but the technology improved rapidly. By the end of the decade, digital photography was transforming journalism, advertising, and how we saved our personal memories. Paired with the internet, it meant we could share photos instantly. This wasn't just the end of the film industry, it was the beginning of the visual, share everything culture that defines social media today. So, looking back, the 1990s was more than just a period of cool gadgets. It was a threshold decade. Each of these technologies, the internet, mobile phones, PCs, digital media, they weren't just inventions, they were launch pads. They interconnected to create the digital ecosystem we live in. They changed how we communicate, work, learn, and play. The 90s didn't just give us a faster, more connected world. It fundamentally rewired our society and set the stage for the 21st century. It was the decade that plugged humanity into its digital future. And that's a wrap on the technologies that defined the 1990s. It's amazing to see how ideas from that decade are still shaping our world today. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.